everyone gets AT&T's best deal on the new iPhone 14 Pro with the incredible camera. So, people currently listening to comedy podcasts, and people listening to political podcasts, and people listening to true crime podcasts who actually can't stop listening to true crime podcasts and it's ruling their lives. The point is, everyone, new and existing customers. Ask how to get up to $800 off the new iPhone 14 Pro with eligible trade-in. Visit att.com or our stores for details. Terms and restrictions may apply.
Hey coconuts, so yeah, I know many of you guys want to learn about crypto and you keep asking on the Telegram group, keep asking on Instagram, and I have officially caved in, right? So we're going to dedicate a whole month onto cryptocurrency and digital finance, but because I am limited in my understanding of crypto, I'm bringing a lot of good friends and guests on to talk about cryptocurrency. In today's episode, we're going to run through the broad cryptocurrency space of the different coins, what are different types, what they're doing, where is innovation happening, where is money going into, and also answer or attempt to answer the one question of, will Bitcoin go to zero or is it here to stay? Welcome to another Chills with TFC session. In this series, we hope to bring on interesting, relevant people to help us learn better from various perspectives. Life is not always about learning from people that you already agree with. Perspectives shaped around the thinker. So in our pursuit of the life we love of managing our finances well, our guest for today is one of the leaders in the DeFi crypto space, Decentralized Finance. And I'll let him share with you, I'm not going to butcher it, but I got him on to paint a broad view of the crypto market. What is actually going on? What is blockchain? Where does Bitcoin stand in this whole equation? And where he sees the future. Essentially, I try to squeeze everything out of him. He was an oil trader turned crypto investor running his own fund today, and he is Arthur Cheong from Defiance Capital. You know, for the people that don't understand crypto, right?
Yep.
Can you just kind of help us understand a little bit of like, hey, why crypto is always discussed with blockchain? Right, and how much do I need to know? If let's say somehow I'm interested in crypto, clearly I'm not in that camp yet. So if I want to explore the space of crypto, how much do I need to know about blockchain?
Yeah, I would say that you definitely do not need to be a very technical person to understand crypto and blockchain. Like, I am an economic major, I don't have a computer science background, and yet I would consider myself fairly knowledgeable on the crypto and blockchain. So I would say that blockchain is a technology that underpin cryptocurrency. So blockchain is just very simple. It's an immutable ledger. It's like the easier ways to think of it is like Google Sheet that is maintained by everyone. Yeah, if you choose to participate in the network, and once the transaction is confirmed, it's very difficult to reverse the transaction record. So in a sense that it serves as an immutable ledger. Yeah, so this is what blockchain is about, and the good property of this allow like cryptocurrency to build on top of like a decentralized blockchain technology. So not all blockchain need to have a crypto. So that there's actually a variant called like the permission blockchain, like which is a lot of the big corporate are experimenting with it. Like especially the IBM has been very popular in pushing like the enterprise blockchain adoption. Those actually do not have any cryptocurrency. They're just like a little bit like a database, but it's not maintained by one single server, but instead maintained by a lot of different nodes. So this is a blockchain, but most of the permissionless blockchain, which means that it's like a public where everyone can join, have a native crypto attached to the blockchain to serve also as a security guarantee as a blockchain, because you need to incentivize people to maintain the network. So the cryptocurrency is paid out as an incentive to maintain the network as well. So like when you mine Bitcoin, you're getting paid Bitcoin, but you're also maintaining the security of Bitcoin at the same time.
Okay, so what I'm getting is essentially blockchain is a technology.
Yep.
It's a crowdsourced technology in some ways, right?
Yep.
Because most of the data centers and servers are centralized.
Yes.
Right? But then, so the computing power for most, technology or most whatever out there, they are all centralized in one space. Okay, so for all you guys that don't know compute and all those, we're trying to help you understand. Okay, so then blockchain essentially is a shared computing where you have different computers running or different kind of servers running, that keep up with the workload of whatever blockchain that is trying to do. All right, so and in that sense, because they keep up with that work that the blockchain intends to do, and in the case of Bitcoin, it's mostly just transactional, right? They're tracking the transaction ledger in that sense, right? So transaction work, if the computer participates in that, then it gets the incentive of, Bitcoin in that sense, right?
Yep.
So that's
Correct.
kind of how they maintain the whole thing going. So
Yes.
you welcome people to participate in this process of keeping the whole thing working, and through that process, you incentivize them the currency, which is Bitcoin, if you are
Yes,
doing
correct.
a Bitcoin blockchain.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so then that was like years back already,
Yep.
right? That one's like 古董 already,
Yep.
Like Bitcoin is the ancient guy
Yep.
in like crypto, much like how Facebook is traditional marketing now, right? It's
Yep.
like nowadays I talk to people about like, hey, we need to do some traditional marketing. Facebook, Google, right? It's like it's already
Yep.
traditional. And for you in this space, you are very big on, from what I understand, you're very big on like the whole idea of decentralized finance, right? So I'm very curious, what do you think? Do you think decentralized finance, first you help us explain, okay? And then do you think decentralized finance will take over the traditional financial system today?
I would say no. I think they will coexist in the future, because I think that currently the financial system, I would say depending on which country you are staying, are probably not serving some of the population in the world. And I think that what decentralized finance can do is to complement, and in some case kind of like probably a much better solution than what the existing financial system can offer. So I think that that's why both of them will coexist. I don't think that despite like how good the product is, like the entire existing traditional finance will just get replaced. But what they can happen is like coexist. So I mean, for a more layman explanation, I would say that decentralized finance, what we call DeFi in the industry, is you can think of it as like a fintech 2.0. So fintech has grown significantly over the last 10 years. So I think recently the most popular event is probably the Ant Group, like the Chinese Alipay. So they were trying
Which
to
they just pulled out.
yeah.
Right?
So they were
Yeah.
trying to do an IPO, but for some reason the Chinese regulator asked them to stop doing that. So but you need to know that last year they have processed $16 trillion US dollar worth of transaction, more than PayPal. So they are like definitely a giant right now, and at the IPO valuation, they're actually worth more than any bank in the world, including JP Morgan. But I mean, that doesn't mean that the China traditional financial system is getting replaced. It's not. Yeah, so they actually coexist. I think it's the same for DeFi. So DeFi will provide in some area provide a better solution, but it's not going to replace like traditional finance. It's just going to coexist. Yeah, so it's just like depending on which product is the best, you go for that product.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can you help us understand what is decentralized finance?
Yeah,
Simple
sure.
term, huh?
Sure. So decentralized finance is very straightforward. It basically refers to a financial application that is built on open source technology, which is most of the case is decentralized, is permissionless blockchain, which most of the time is also Ethereum, because Ethereum right now is the most popular smart contract platform for various applications.
Okay,
to
so
build on
how
top.
does that translate to layman? Like, okay, let me give you a scenario. Okay, so let's say I want to transfer money, right?
Yep.
Essentially, that's what decentralized finance is trying to do, right? Right. So if I want to transfer money, if I transfer through, let's say, the Ethereum blockchain,
Yep.
right, compared to transferring through the traditional financial system,
Yep.
how does that look like? Can you from a decentralized finance
Sure.
viewpoint?
So I would say one of the biggest characteristic is the permissionless nature. So let's say you want to send let's say 100,000 US dollar to someone that's in Africa. If you go through the traditional banking process, you are gonna take days, probably 1 week, and will incur a lot of cost in doing so, because the current bank work on Swift and work on like a correspondent banking system. But through like DeFi,
And how much would that cost if I go through a traditional?
I think it depends. But there's a fixed cost that like think $20 to $30 wire cost on both sides, and also there might be some FX cost if you convert. If you don't convert, yeah, it's dollar. So I would say at least like a $40 to $50 fixed cost. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then
For DeFi, there's basically no transaction cost as long as the receiving party have a crypto wallet. Yeah, you just need to pay the network transaction fee, which is most of the time is below $1 right now.
okay.
So yeah, you can just send, and as long as he or she has an internet connection, she can definitely receive it within like 10 minutes. Yeah, usually less. Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically built on anonymity because you
Yep.
don't need to go through the traditional check system, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
nowadays, bigger volumes, they will ask you to check. Like all the KYCs,
Yes.
know your customer, right?
Yep.
What you're trying to do, is it terrorist money, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They're trying to do all those things,
Yep.
right? So there is no need for that.
Yep.
right? And there is essentially a faster system.
Yep.
And it's cheaper. That's what you're trying to tell me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And actually, even for KYC, even if you go to KYC, you can still use this to settle. Like you can send it to the exchange account of the receiving party. So he or she has done the KYC on the exchange already. You can still send to his or her exchange address, and it's still faster and cheaper than going through the traditional banking system. But obviously the open nature is also one of the plus part out of it. But even if you go using the KYC channel, it's still the same speed and same cost.
Yeah. So then, if it sounds so good, right? Then why isn't it gonna take over the?
Because I think finance is like a multi-tier, right? It's not just about payment and transfer. There's a lot of other things in finance that I think that it's just not gonna be replaced so easily. Like insurance, asset management, the capital market, lending and borrowing. All these are part of finance. So what I'm illustrated to you is just like a payment and transfer part of finance. So that is just one big part, but it's just one part of finance. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm getting from you is that because generally, right? Okay, so far very hard to find bears for crypto lah. Right? Most of the bears are not in crypto, that's why they are bears, right? But then most of the bull case, so far is cryptocurrency will take over the world. I see roll eyes here, right? So that's the bull case, right? And I think that's crazy. But from what you're saying, that doesn't sound as crazy, right? Can you just kind of help us paint the picture why that way of looking at it, it's not accurate?
I think first of all, when people are usually referring crypto to take over the world, usually those are people who are saying are usually referring to Bitcoin. And because Bitcoin right now is like 70% of the market in terms of the market capitalization, in terms of value. I think that...
You mean like the crypto market? Right?
Yeah, crypto market. Yeah. So, and I think that doesn't make sense because Bitcoin existed for 10 years. There were a lot of people, even companies trying to use Bitcoin for payment, and it never take off. I think the reason is very clear. People do not want to transact in a volatile currency. People want to transact in a stable currency. And in most cases, it will be the fiat currency, be it US dollar or Sing dollar. So I think that will not happen simply because it's too volatile to be used on a day-to-day basis. But it can be a good medium to long-term store of value because like Bitcoin specifically have some characteristic that make it suitable to be a store of value. That it has a fixed supply, 21 million Bitcoin forever, and it also like it's easy to carry, and it's also it's very similar to gold, fixed supply, and then also like a scarce, all this thing. So it just make it like suitable as a medium to long term store of value. So I would say that actually Bitcoin specifically, not referring to other crypto, is actually trying to compete with gold as an asset, but it's not really trying to compete with like a day to day currency.
And on that note of Bitcoin potentially being a store of value, right? And when you compare it with gold, right, which is what a lot of people are doing, digital gold, right? The whole idea.
Yep.
When you compare it with gold, then there's this idea of like a broadly accepted asset class, right? Which hinges on the idea of having a lot of people buy into it. It's a network effect kind of thing. If everybody buys into this idea, then there is a potential, right, of it becoming some sort of value, right? So because gold is already dominant in terms of the acceptance that it is an asset class. So everybody buys into it. So there's a network effect in gold.
Yep.
Right? And then now you're trying to tell me that, or not just you, a lot of people are trying to tell us that Bitcoin can have that kind of network effect. Right? So how is that going to happen?
I think that is just gonna happen where the younger generation are usually much more familiar with like a digital goods or digital asset. Like if you grew up playing World of Warcraft, MapleStory, all this online game, you always recognize that these digital goods have value, and there were a lot of people who are just like farming those items to make a living.
Shout out, Mesos.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that like the internet have come into the scene for 30 plus years. And it's just very natural for the internet to have its native currency, and Bitcoin is just very likely to be the one. That is doesn't have to be physical, but as more and more people believe in it, and I would say that actually you look at the adoption, more and more people did start to believe that Bitcoin has value, and this is a fact. I mean, it's not something you can argue against. So, and the network effect of Bitcoin is definitely increasing because like due in this increasingly digital world, people just believe like a pure digital currency has value. And so I think that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah. So whatever you just said, right, essentially double downs on the idea of the network effect, right? Essentially, there must be a lot of people
Yes.
that subscribe to this. Then
Yes.
there will be a net value for this thing. It's like how everybody play Maple Story, then mesos
Yes.
became a thing, right? People
Yes.
sell mesos,
Yes, correct.
right? So you must have a lot of people to participate in the Bitcoin story and the
Yes.
Bitcoin network,
Correct.
right? And in that case, then that hinges on the fundamental risk, which is what if people don't join, right? So what do you think is some of these like risk of this thing not ultimately fruiting into what people are saying that Bitcoin can be a goal?
Yeah, I would say the major risk is like a very strict government clampdown. I think that is possible, although unlikely. I would say, if let's say government say that it's illegal to own or transact Bitcoin or crypto in the future, I think that would definitely kill the network effect because most people still do not want to do illegal stuff. But I would say that this also is very similar to like how like a peer-to-peer torrenting technology works. Like I believe in Singapore it's actually illegal to torrent download a lot of the copyright material. I would say the same in a lot of country, but torrenting technology is still very popular and people are still using it for various file sharing. So yeah, I mean the risk is definitely a very strict government clampdown. But I would say that at this point of time, it's actually very hard to like have a full shutdown of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency right now, just simply because that you must have a valid reason. I mean, you can implement KYC AML, but it's harder to find a valid reason to shut it down because it's just a technology. Yeah.
But I think one country has a pretty valid reason, that is China, right? So China has released their own like digital RMB, and they're building everything on the blockchain, right? So they are very ahead in this whole like digital
Yep.
currency space,
Yep.
right? And honestly, for a lot of Chinese, they have a lot of like underground money changer. There
Yep,
are all
yep.
sorts of way to bring money out of the country, and all those are deemed as illegal.
Yep.
All right. So then, at this point in time, Bitcoin is also not legal in China, right? But
No, it's actually legal to own Bitcoin. It's recognized as a property
Okay.
in China, but
Yeah.
it's not. The illegal part is basically
bringing it out.
running an exchange in China,
Okay.
running an OTC business in China.
Okay.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
not allowed. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not allowed. Okay, correct me. Okay, so Bitcoin is allowed in China. It's just not allowed to do the transaction part, as an OTC provider.
Yeah.
Okay, so over the counter, right? So
Yep.
essentially that just means like you need money, I transfer my Bitcoin to you. If someone else needs money and then you come through me as a central medium, then I draw a certain percentage,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Over the counter
That's
transaction.
not allowed in China. Yes.
So that's not allowed in China. Okay, but because China is doing its own digital yuan, what's stopping China from just wiping out the Bitcoin market by just saying that, hey, you're gonna bring your money back into the digital yuan, right? And we're just gonna forego this idea of Bitcoin. Much like how India removed the fiat currency of 1,500,
Yep.
and Indonesia, getting the people to bring money back to Indonesia so that they don't get fined.
Yep.
Right. So what is stopping China from doing that? Is that a serious risk in your view?
I wouldn't consider it a very serious risk because I think that Bitcoin right now actually from people who are in the industry, if people want to bring their money out of China using crypto, they usually don't use Bitcoin nowadays. They actually usually use a stable coin, and the most popular one being USDT Tether. Yeah. So because Bitcoin is too volatile, so Bitcoin is still mostly used as a store of value right now. So I think that yes, I mean this risk might exist, but I think if it did happen, I think that a lot of Chinese are still gonna own Bitcoin. They're just not gonna declare it because you can always keep your own Bitcoin. You just don't use it on any exchanges. And right now, you can actually also acquire it from a decentralized exchange as well. Just that you do not use any like a proper kind of centralized exchange to acquire your Bitcoin. Yeah, that's just what will happen. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
fundamentally, there is still the risk of the network effect not fruiting,
Yep.
because of all these government interventions and blah blah
Yes.
blah. But what you are betting on is that is highly unlikely. the
You
impact
can
is
say
not-
so.
or the
Yeah,
impact is
but
not
I
as
would say that
serious.
even if let's say China do it, it's definitely not gonna kill Bitcoin already because Bitcoin is sufficiently diversified in terms of geographic. So China is an important country for crypto ecosystem, but if let's say they have a complete ban, I think it hurt Bitcoin, but it will not really kill Bitcoin network effect. Yeah.
Okay, so that is for Bitcoin.
Yep.
So there are three kinds, generally broadly three kinds. So one is Bitcoin, which is quote unquote the digital gold.
Yep.
One is the Ether network, right, which does a lot of the transactional stuff, which all your stable coins are built on.
Yep, correct.
Right, and then there's the asset class, which
Yep.
is the third class of, I don't know what unique coins are here, but it's just fundamentally a kind of cash flow generation
Yes.
model, right? So there are
Correct.
these three, right?
Yep.
So Bitcoin, Ether network for transaction, so there's the function there, and then the last one is asset class. So how do you then make money in this space? Because if there's so many things going on already,
Yep.
how do you make money?
I focus, like I mentioned before, is on a sector called decentralized finance, and I would say that when it comes to investing in this space, my philosophy, it would be very akin to venture investing, but with public market liquidity. Because I would say that when you're investing in a lot of these like a newer application or protocol, a lot of them are actually on like a venture stage, like a startup lah, in terms of the life cycle of their organization. But I think the unique thing is most of these protocol or applications, they do have a native crypto attached to it. Like it is used both as an incentivization mechanism, and also to build a community. So what happens is usually you'll be able to acquire liquidity for your crypto token with a much shorter time frame than you do traditional venture investing. Like if you invest in startup, usually you need to wait for like a 5 to 10 years before you can exit typically, like even be it for M&A or IPO. But in crypto, usually you can exit, like you have some liquidity for investment like within 2 years. Yeah. So that's how I do crypto investing right now. Yeah. And why I focus on decentralized finance, because there has been a lot of use cases that's experimenting with crypto over the last 3 to 5 years. And I would say that since 2017, there was a year that everyone was trying to put anything on blockchain.
Yeah, all
You see
sorts of
people
weird
will say
shit. Yeah.
Airbnb on blockchain, Uber on blockchain, whatever. But actually, I would say, coming from someone who have actually went through this whole cycle, most of it, I would say almost all of it didn't work out, because ultimately blockchain as a technology it doesn't solve all the issue. It's one technology that's come with its trade-off. So it gives you like a more of like an open and permissionless nature, but it also bring it very expensive to use blockchain technology, and also very slow, especially when you compare them to like the centralized counterpart like Amazon Web Services. So it's not suitable for most of the other use cases, I would say, except for finance. Because for finance, a lot of the time you actually don't really compete on the speed and the cost of the services. You actually compete on the trust layer. Like why we use a lot of the financial institution, because it's also there's a lot of trust. We trust DBS, we trust all this bank, and we trust all these financial institutions. And where does the trust come from? One part of it is obviously the regulation, but also one part of it is they have the history, they've like proven themselves. But I think for blockchain, what this can bring is actually you actually don't really need to trust the team or whatever, because once they deploy on the blockchains, it's immutable. So you can actually, the smart contract will just run the program as per specified. So that even the team themselves cannot really change anything that after they have deploy it to the network.
Yeah.
So this whole bring a new level of transparency into the financial activities that they are providing. So I think that this is something that is a bit like a 0 to 1 innovation that I think is cost and the speed trade-off are actually worth it. Yeah. For most other use cases, it actually doesn't worth it, because you kind of don't really need that much of like a censorship resistance or like auditability. But for finance, it actually makes sense.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. Essentially, the traditional way of running data, right, and the blockchain is, the fundamental difference is blockchain is quote unquote 100% secure, right? Because everything is built on the chain. It's not so easy to fuck it up, essentially.
Yeah, and it's also more transparent.
Yeah, more transparent. You can see the whole thing, right? But it is slower, more expensive to run than the centralized stuff. So there are only certain use cases, for this technology. If you see it from a technology viewpoint, and how you make money is you invest in the coins of these new DeFi ventures that are coming in.
Correct.
Okay. So then how do you exit? Do you exit in a private market, or do you exit when it goes for ICO, or how does that work for you?
So there's a different way to exit. Most of these
right, because you're buying something at a young stage, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then okay, how do you even buy those kind of stuff to begin with?
So there's a few ways. So because we are like a crypto fund, so sometimes we are able to invest in like the earliest round, like so-called like the seed round. Yeah, because the project was just like a MVP stage. They are trying to build their product, so they raise a fund. So we are usually investing fairly early on, and that's how we acquire the crypto asset. And how do we exit? It depends. Sometimes it will get listed on certain centralized exchanges such as Coinbase or like Binance. then we might exit. Yeah. And sometimes it will just be listed on decentralized exchanges. Yeah, decentralized exchange is like Coinbase and Binance, but just that they are not like controlled by one single company. That anyone can use it and provide liquidity. So we can also sell it on decentralized exchanges as well. Yep.
Okay. Do you mind sharing with us some of your success case? Is it possible?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want me to mention a name?
Yeah, yeah. Tell me the name, man.
Okay, cool. I would say okay, some of the success cases. One project I would like to like mention is like Kyber Network. So Kyber Network is actually launched by the one of the co-founder. Is actually an NUS PhD. Yeah. So he's from Vietnam, but he studied NUS in NUS here for the PhD in computer science. Then after he graduated, he started working on blockchain and all this thing, and he actually launched this project in 2017. So it's basically a decentralized exchange. It's called Kyber Network. So what they plan to do is just like a Coinbase equivalent or Binance equivalent, but it's just that it's decentralized, not controlled by any single company. So it raised the ICO from 2017 to 2019. It actually been keep dropping because it went through a bear market. But actually throughout the last 3 years, the team never really give up building. They just keep improving their product, build a better product, and the market has. Although the fundamental has improved significantly, the market has not been paying attention. So we actually invest very late. Like they launched in 2017, the token was available in 2017, but we only invest in it in 2019. So this one have a little bit of public market component really. It's a bit like investing in stocks. After their
Everybody
IPO for
don't
2
want
years.
them like that. Then you go and buy
But
them.
you actually, I can see that the fundamentals just keep improving, but market has not been noticing it. So I've been just buying it from the exchange directly. You just slowly build a position and invest, and just and also I do know the team quite well because they are also based in Singapore. So I talked to the founder, understand their vision, understand what they're trying to build. Just really have a good understanding on the team's vision and what they are building, and also do my own analysis on like the valuation and given the current traction do they have today, is it undervalued or overvalued? So I decided that it's a significantly undervalued. That's where I invested in it. So yeah, we kind of realized like around like a 10 times return in like 7 months for this investment. Yeah, because it just after the market start recognizing its potential, and it also get listed on more and more exchanges, the valuation just increased significantly over the last 12 months. Yep.
Okay, that's cool. Then are you concerned about institutional investors coming into the game? Right, like more and more big boys are coming in. Then when institution comes in, right, then they have a very probably more buy and hold way of doing things, right? Because that's what institutions generally do.
Yep.
More long-term outlook. Will they kind of like skew the market in terms of like price discovery or like trying to find potential? Because all these big boys come in, right? Then it's very tough for you to find good stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
I would say that I'm not concerned at all because like I think when the institutional investor come in, they were actually really gonna focus on the top few, like mostly Bitcoin and probably some Ether. And I think actually they bring much needed kind of like a rationality and a professionalism to the space, because I think right now this space, one of the reasons that it's so volatile is because there's a lot of people who are just purely speculator and trader. They are not really looking at a more professional manner. So they buy when it's going up, they sell when it's going down. And this is not really how investing works, right? So I think that the institutional investor will bring more professionalism in the space. It's really much welcome, and it might actually even dampen the volatility slightly as well. Yeah, it make crypto slightly less volatile if more of them come in, because they don't kind of like, they are trading firm, but I'm talking about the investing one. They don't really trade in and out like every day, right? So they kind of bring much needed like stability.
Yeah. So do you feel like most of the people are really just trying to trade the market, like how they trade currencies?
I would say there's a lot of speculator, probably not trading on a day in, day out basis, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of speculator that don't really invest in a more professional manner in this space. Yeah, which is why that unfortunately a lot of them have lost money. Because I'm the person that went through the entire cycle, and although I did end up doing pretty well, I see a lot of my friends and acquaintances that kind of give up along the way, and they were not there to reap the success, although the market have recovered. But it's just one of the reasons is they're not approaching it in a very robust and professional manner. They're really just a bit like hearsay. This one seems good, I buy. Oh, seems bad, and I sell. So I think this is usually not a receipt for success.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of people in the stock market also.
Yeah, I would say it's actually quite similar. It's just that the volatility in crypto is just like probably like few times more dense than the crypto.
Yeah, I think few more times, not just few times more.
Yeah.
Right. So in that sense, a lot of people, because of a lack of understanding, because of the high volatility and all these like hype news up and down, right? It doesn't give a lot of confidence in the space.
Yeah.
Right. And from what you're saying is a very different way of looking at it. To look at the functionality that this technology actually has a certain case in a certain sector, right? And what you spot is decentralized finance,
Yes.
right? Which we have talked about extensively. But are there other use cases for this technology of blockchain and crypto?
I would say yes, although that's still a bit early. I would say right now that another use cases is basically what they call the Web3. So what is Web3? So one way to explain it is like the current like internet space we're living in, it can be categorized as like a Web 2.0. So it's basically dominated by the tech giants like Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Apple. So what Web 3.0 want to change is to basically decentralize the power. Again, decentralization. This is a very big theme of crypto in general. That all the data, the identity.
Wait, is it a big theme of blockchain or is it a big theme of crypto?
Big theme of crypto, I would say.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the decentralization component.
Okay, so
of it.
blockchain is just a technology you can
Yes.
use in however one, but
Yes.
whenever the blockchain is matched with a crypto, it tends to have this identity of decentralized.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
okay, yeah.
Correct. So basically that too much power are concentrated in this technology company. So the Web 3.0 want to decentralize this from them, be it on a data layer, on a usage layer, and on the identity layer. So imagine that when you actually own your identity, so that let's say you want to use any of the, let's say Facebook, Google, you actually have your own single identity that you own instead of the account that they have with them. And they actually are monetizing all your data, like to make money. Like there's one new Netflix documentary called The Social Network Dilemma.
Yeah,
Something.
yeah, I watched that.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, to say that how they have been like kind of like using the user to make money. So I think that this is the Web 3.0 thesis. And yeah, so this is something that I think that this is one of the valid use cases that you can actually build, let's say a decentralized Facebook where you're actually the one that own your data, so that you do not have this kind of data privacy concern. Yeah. But this is, I think, still quite far away from realizing due to the maturity of blockchain technology in general.
Is there any other? Is it just this one?
I think these two are the most popular one, decentralized finance and the Web 3.0. Another one, I would say, I think it's more specific, is basically have to do with gaming. Basically that there's a thesis that right now, like if you look at certain game, right, actually people are trading those in-game items very like the skin of CSGO and World of Warcraft, whatever. All this, a lot of online game, right? Actually all these in-game items are very valuable, but the challenges, or say the issue is like the company, if they close down, all the in-game items are worthless. And the company can always make some arbitrary changes that kind of affect the in-game economy or whatever. So the kind of thesis is to make it like a more player-owned kind of game, like where a lot of the important changes and whatever is actually decided by the player instead of by one single company deciding everything. Yeah, so I think that is kind of a valid use case. You can use like a crypto and blockchain to kind of distribute the control and ownership and the power of like a certain game when the player actually kind of co-own it. It's a bit like a player cooperative kind of thing. Yeah.
Everything is a co-op. Everything
Yeah.
is decentralized. That's
Yeah. So I think I can see certain use cases, but I think it's also kind of quite game specific. Like for some game that you probably don't need that. But I think for certain game that where there's a very strong social aspect, it probably makes sense to integrate some of these.
Like World of Warcraft, right? Something like
Yeah.
that, right? The kind of MMORPG.
Yeah, or some like that when there's a strong collectible component into it. Like people actually spend a crazy amount of money on this kind of collectible game. Like
I know.
what they call gacha game. Like one very popular game called Fake FGO, Fake Grand Order. Like people spend insane amount of money. Like every year they bring in $1 billion of revenue on this one single mobile game.
Really?
Yes, you can search on it. FGO.
FGO.
Yeah,
Okay.
Fake Grand Order. It's a collectible game. People kind of like you can roll certain kind of like a character you want, and obviously the rare one is quite hard, and people can spend few $100 every month on it.
Japanese game.
Japanese game.
Ah.
Yeah. But and all this, actually people spend their hard-earned money on this character. And actually they do feel treasure, right? This is
Yeah.
And this also ties in with the theme that recently, I think probably due to some popular YouTuber, the first generation Pokemon card is suddenly worth a lot again.
Oh yes,
The
I know
Charizard
that.
was sold
Yeah.
for I think few $1,000s. I think close to 20,000 actually.
That guy is crazy. He also sells the magic cards. He also sells all the weird cards. And then
Yeah.
he do those kind of pack opener. What's his
Yeah.
name? I can't remember. But
Exactly.
oh,
So
yeah, that's funny.
it's just like a sudden resurgence, right? It's suddenly like the Charizard is worth so much right now, and I'm sure a lot of people are regretting like they parent throwing away their Pokemon card. It's worth 20,000 right now.
Yeah. My friend was just telling me, yeah, that's the worst thing that I've thrown away. It's like my Pokemon cards are gonna be worth so much, right?
Yeah. This is just something that I think, people feel like value like. It's the first generation, and I don't think these cards are being used in tournament anymore. Like they are probably so outdated in terms of meta.
Yeah.
But people still cherish it.
So fundamentally, that's a very collectible, way of looking at things, right? So, I mean, all those things are potential cases, but people have to kind of look at it on their own and decide how it is, right? So, for our listeners that are new, that are contemplating, whether to be in this space, right? What are some advice you have for them in terms of like, if you want to start, how do you start, or how does it work from an investment viewpoint?
Yeah, I would say definitely do your own research. You actually do not need to rush in to buy. I think one good way to learn is also have a small amount. Like don't need to have much. Probably just a $100-$200 will do. Just try to use it first and really understand what you are using, and if you want to invest, what are you investing? I think the most popular way and the right way is really to just start with Bitcoin and Ethereum first. Understand these two platforms, and then you slowly go down from there. So after you have a good understanding, you understand what you are investing in, then you are less likely to be shaken out, because this space is indeed very volatile. So if you don't really have a strong understanding, you'll be shaken out because you actually don't know what you are investing and buying. Then obviously when it drops, then you are more inclined to sell, right? So I think that's just like the thing about crypto, that there's immense volatility. So you just need to have this in mind. But if you do your research, you believe there is a future, and then you can invest in it. And I would say for most people, it's better that if they come in with an asset allocation model. So there's a lot of like a correlation study has been done. In fact, they have shown that if you invest in Bitcoin, it actually helps to improve the portfolio return from a risk-adjusted perspective, because it's usually not correlated with other asset class over a long-term period. And so when stock market going down, Bitcoin and crypto might be going up, and then obviously vice versa, it can happen. So I think the recommended portfolio allocation for most people, unless they have a super strong understanding and they want to spend a lot of time, is usually between 5 to 10% of their entire investment portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say that is a healthier way of investing into crypto for most people if they do not want to spend too much time.
Okay, not like everything in xiao like that.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. I think it definitely makes more sense from a portfolio allocation point of view.
Okay. I have one last question, I think very important. Recently, I've talked to a lot of friends, and one of this idea came out of the whole idea of tokenization, where companies or institutions, they take traditional assets and they kind of back it up with a token. Like they back the token up with the traditional assets, right? And maybe it's art paintings, maybe it's like farmland, property, whatever. Right? What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's very case specific. I think that
so do you even see this as a crypto investment?
I think no, I don't think so. Because these are like using crypto as a technology to change the representation. I don't see this as a crypto investment, because they are ultimately tied to the real world asset, right? You're actually investing in the real world asset just through the blockchain technology. Okay. So you don't see that as a crypto use case. You just see that as a technology to kind of split up and tokenize the asset. That's it. Exactly. Okay. So nothing to do with the crypto space in your view. Yeah, I don't think it's that close. There's a lot of experimentation in that, but I think that's another topic. I think that it's valid use case of the technology, but how successful it will be, I think it's a bit too early to say. Okay, thank you. Is there any last words you want to share? Yes, I think actually on the investing part, I do want to add a little bit, like for those investors who prefer to be active and more hands-on, which is actually I'm the kind of person. And I think that actually crypto is probably the best place you can invest in for a few reasons, because crypto is in a level that is still pretty young and immature. So actually, if you are some guy who's very active, like to make your voice heard, you actually can make a change to this space. You can actually influence the direction of the certain, let's say, project that you invest in. And this is actually not very possible in a traditional finance. Like I invested in the Singapore stock market before, like from small cap, mid cap to large cap. And I can tell you that that's my opinion. The Singapore stock market is just not very conducive to minority investor most of the time. Like that's small and mid cap, right? Like they don't really care about the minority shareholder interest, you can write an email to the investor relation, but I don't think you can make any changes. But I think in crypto it's very different. Like for all of the younger stage protocol, if you're a very active member in the community, you can actually, a lot of your opinion and voice will be heard, and you can actually participate in improving the protocol or the project that you invest in as well. So I think this is something that big changes, and I would say that although that the right are not like legally stipulated for a lot of crypto investment, ironically, I think as a token holder, I actually get more right than as a shareholder in some of the small cap or mid cap company in like a local stock market. Yeah. So for a very a more open minded and investor who prefer to be hands on active, I really suggest you guys to explore crypto as an investment, because I think it's very rewarding and exciting to be in. Yep.
Okay, thanks for coming on the show. You shared a lot of good stuff. I hope you guys learned something. We'll see you around. Yeah. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Reggie. Thanks.
Hey, I hope you learned something useful today and truly appreciate that you took time off to better your life with the Financial Coconut. Knowledge is that much more powerful and interesting when shared, debated and discussed. Join our community Telegram group, follow us on our social, sign up for our weekly newsletter. Everything is in the description below. And if you love us, want to help us grow, definitely share the podcast with your friends and on your socials. Also, if you have some interesting thoughts to share or know someone that you want to hear more from, reach out to us through hello@thefinancialcoconut.com. With that, have a great day ahead. Stay tuned next week, and always remember, personal finance can be chill, clear, and sustainable for all. So yeah, I hope you guys learned some good stuff today. I think he provided a lot of good juices. And we'll have a few other crypto friends that will be coming on this month. And we'll see where this brings us. But of course, I'm super happy to extend the kind of conversation in the crypto space. If you love what we are trying to do here and you have a specific interest in, trying to talk about the crypto market, definitely reach out to us. And we are thinking of spinning off a show for the crypto space, but let's see how. We need to find hosts, we need to find guests. So if a lot of you guys are interested, and you can drop us an email at hello@thefinancialcoconut.com, and then we can see how we can collaborate or create together. So yeah, that's good for today. I hope you learned some good stuff. This month will be on digital finance, so we'll have people from robo-advisors to policy pal. Okay, I just dropped the name, but yeah, we'll have aggregators, and we'll have a little bit more discussion on stable coins and whatnot. So all those things are coming up this month. So stay tuned, share with your friends, and it'll be a great month. I'll see you around. Take care, guys.
Everyone gets AT&T's best deal on the new iPhone 14 Pro with the incredible camera. So, people currently listening to comedy podcasts, and people listening to political podcasts, and people listening to true crime podcasts who actually can't stop listening to true crime podcasts, and it's ruling their lives. The point is, everyone, new and existing customers. Ask how to get up to $800 off the new iPhone 14 Pro with eligible trade-in. Visit att.com or our stores for details. Terms and restrictions may apply.